what am I going to love to do?
Welcome to the show. Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello there and welcome to this episode of Your Ultimate Life, the podcast that we created just to help you create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with your gifts, your talents, and your life experience. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Robb Evans. Robb, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Well, I'm excited to get a chance to talk with you. And there's a question that I like asking. I don't do an introduction because it all comes out during the show, but this is a chance for us to get started. So without being modest or anything, I'm curious, how does Robb add good to the world?
Oh gosh, well, I started my my life out trying to find my place in the world. I was bullied as a kid, and I had a very poor self-image and self-confidence, and wondering what it was that I was going to enjoy. And I thought, like, I'm 57, and so I grew up in a time where the only people that I heard talk about the careers that they loved were sports people. And I'm like, I was so little, like I'm only 5'5", and I was a little boy growing up. It's like, I'm never going to be great at any sport. So what am I going to love to do? And I just wasn't, I didn't have a lot of friends. I wasn't great at stuff. And I thought, all right, well, I was good at numbers. So I started doing maths and accounting, and I became a chartered accountant here in Australia. And I thought, well, I'll find my pathway that way, not exactly knowing I didn't want to work for a chartered accounting firm forever. I started with PwC and then sort of moved through some big Australian brands. And like 19 years into that, I realized that this isn't something that I really love doing. So one thing that I started doing back in 1988, so I've been doing it for 37 years now, was just looking after my own health and wellness. And so I decided that in 2009, I'd start running my own full-time health and wellness business. And I only sought to do that locally in my area, my postcode effectively. And over the years, and COVID sort of threw a spanner in the works, and I started working with people with Zoom. And now I run a global health and wellness business where I'm doing a lot of coaching with people remotely around how to bring out their best self. And so I really help people achieve their life strategies, if you like. But I come in at a point of, let's get your health and wellness right first, and then let's build from that. Now, along the way, just a couple of years ago, I lost my daughter at age 15. And through that process, unintentionally, I guess, I started a legacy for her. And people tell me now that what I will probably be remembered for is the legacy that I've created with my daughter. We've raised $56.5 million now of funding through that legacy work. So in terms of the good that I do to the world, I'll probably mostly be remembered for the stuff that I'm doing with my daughter's legacy. But I like to think that I add value in a lot of other ways too, to help people change themselves and their lives to bring out the best versions of themselves.
It's interesting. You decided, you had issues, small, meaning you were a little small or whatever. And so you said, I have to look out for my own health and wellness. And it's one thing to take care of something for yourself, like a person may have a difficulty. Your daughter passed away, or you're worried about your health and wellness. It's quite another thing to then decide, and I want to help other people do this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, this dynamic it seems 100% true. As soon as someone figures out how to do something for themselves, this yearning comes up to help other people with it. And it's way more than just, here's how I can make some money. But there seems to be this thing that comes up in us that makes us want to do that. Why do you suppose that is?
I think you've really hit on it right there. And I think when I started business, I was focusing on the dollars. And I was
Mhm.
like, all right, how do I replace a six-figure income with a business? I've never been in business before. Got coaching to help me do that. And for a number of years, I was thinking, why am I not where I want to be? And then one day I was just, having a bit of a strategy session. I thought, you're focusing on the wrong thing. And I was focusing on the dollars too much instead of focusing on adding value to other people, to my clients. And as soon as I started to focus on that, everything started to change, and the money just came. It was because I was so passionate about helping others, and it was really just a slight switch up here. It's like, well, hey, don't focus on the money, focus on the value that you're adding to people. And I think at that same time, and certainly over the last couple of years, like with all my daughter's stuff, I've really, I'll say, doubled down on my own values and beliefs as to what's important to me. And within that has become, I'm just here to help more people. And I think it's because of what I went through as a young boy, what I saw my daughter go through for years, and then at the end of her life. And it's like, I need to do stuff for my daughter's legacy, but to just help others because I'm sick of seeing people suffer. And if
So
I can add a difference to allow, say, you today, if I can make a difference to you today so that you're better or you're inspired to take your life to somewhere different, then that's why I'm here.
I love that. And I want to ask a question. You said, well, it was just a slight shift. Is it?
Mm.
Is that really just a slight shift between focusing on dollars for me and value for others?
Well, in the way that I've just said it, it sounds slight, but I guess the reality is it wasn't just I guess life comes down to moments, doesn't it? And something can happen and say bang like that, but it can take years up to that moment. And like, I don't know, most people have been through some sort of relationship breakup or whatever. My
Yeah.
divorce, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So I was with my wife for like 19 years,
Mhm.
and we still get on very, very well. But I say that there was probably 6.5 years up to a one moment that was like, okay, it's now, that's it. And so I think that what you're just saying there, yes, I think it was, again, probably 5, 6, 10 years. I've been in business 16 years now. I can't remember the exact date, but maybe even 10 years where I said, hang on, why do I always think about getting to this number a month when, what if I just change the way that I look at that? And I think that probably happened in the last 7 years, actually. And it was probably a monumental shift, but it's really only a small thing in your mind. It's like, hang on, don't focus on that. Focus on adding the value. And what the difference is, I was adding value before to people, but I thought, well, hang on, what if I just exploded the value that I added to you and you just saw how much I cared? And it could be a difference of, like, I'm seeing people maybe 2, 3 times a week, but what if it's the little touches in between? And getting to, like, sending you a text, knowing that you've got some special thing on today, and just send a touch point to you. Say, hey, Kellan, how did that go today? It's like, oh, wow. This really
I
makes
think you're right. And I think the reason I asked that is because I want you, me, us, the listeners, everyone to understand that is a fundamental, it is a monumental shift. It is a shift from me, I get money, to a shift of I love you.
Mm.
And so it is a massive change in how we look at the world. And I agree with you. It could feel small. It could happen in an instant. But the truth is, it is the moment we completely become others focused and realize the truth of our being, which is that we're really built to love and serve each other. Our neurochemistry supports that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so.
you're right. You're right. I do think that all of these things are linked in our life too. Like there, I'm talking about business, but the same as in like a presence right here, for instance. I use an example of, like I have a show as well. And one of the things that I do, probably pretty much like you're doing right here, I don't prepare, like I want to know, okay, so who is Kellan, what's your background, etc. But I generally don't prepare questions. because what I want to do is a couple of things. There's nothing where I'm sure we've all been there, say in a stadium or whatever, where we're interviewing and the person's got the list and say, Kellan, what is your definition of success? You answer, and then I say, so what is they've got a list of questions, right, that they want to get answered, as opposed to let's just have a conversation. And now it's like I've got to actively listen so that I can pick up on what it is that you've said. And so what does that do? Well, you feel that, oh, wow, he's really listening. He's really engaged. And every single episode that I do with somebody, that at the end of it, they always say, wow, that was you asked such great questions. That was really good. Because most people are so used to, getting I'll have people reach out to me and say, oh, I'll just use an example. Oh, can Kellan be on your show? Okay, here's a list of questions to ask. Like, seriously, how boring is that for you to go on? What you're up to, you said this would be episode 1021, 1,000 episodes where people are asking you all the same questions. Oh, no, thanks.
No, I totally get it. So I love your answer and the truth of it also, because, creating your ultimate life, which I define as a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, everybody's definition of that is a little different, and they're going to use a little different words, and they're going to have a different journey to get to however close they are to feeling like they love every minute of their day and they're living that way. But no matter what it is, you don't fall up that mountain, right? It's a climb. And so and what you're describing is this process of awakening. If you want to use this woo-woo word, it's a process of figuring out who we really are and what we're doing here in this world that is so rewarding and so much fun. I want to move a little bit to your daughter. Tell me about, if you can, because you said your biggest impact and memory are going to be from that. And so that's clearly how you're adding good to the world in spades. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you'd like to about that story, why it moved you, and what it is that you hope you change in the world as you create this.
Yeah, look, it's something that's continuing to evolve. So my little Liv, she was 13 years of age when she developed an eating disorder, and she couldn't talk about it, what caused it. It was about 18 months in, and one day she just told me what it was, and it was initiated by some bullying at school. And remember, it's hard to remember now, but this was the time when we had COVID. Remember that thing? And I know in Canada you were a little bit locked down like we were here in Australia, but Melbourne was the most locked down city in the world. We had like over 300, I think, days of lockdown. And in parts of that were good for Liv, but it also made the kids, I think, a bit nastier. And so we were in and out of lockdowns. And when she went back to school in between one of these lockdowns, she got bullied, and that started her eating disorder. And ultimately, it required a total of 38 different admissions to hospital. Each time it got worse and worse and worse for her. And unfortunately, she ended up taking her own life at age 15 because she just couldn't do it any longer.
I want to stop because I want to honor you for sharing that. Those kinds of things are terrifying and difficult. And so I just have to have a space to honor you, now you can keep going.
Yeah, thank you. And it's hard to find words of what you would feel when you lose a child, right? And when it happened, we had to turn off her life support. Why should any parent be ever put into that position? But so we did that, and then because I'm so focused on my health and wellness, I didn't know what to do. I'd go out and I'd walk, and I'd still record 2 podcasts a day, and it kind of helped me get things out of my head as well. And I was thinking about, I want to change the whole system of how eating disorders are treated, because it's so effed up that how can we lose children to this? And some people say it's a decision, or they're just choosing not to eat. It's a mental illness.
It
So
is.
how do we treat that so that we never lose another child on the planet to this? And I was thinking about what was the only thing that helped Liv, and it was dog therapy. And I thought, right, I'm going to start a GoFundMe page. I'm going to raise $10,000, and the hospital where Liv spent most of her time, I'm going to start a dog therapy program in that hospital for the kids in the ward that are suffering eating disorders. And so within 3 days, we'd raised like globally $3,500. And I met with the hospital and I said, this is what I want to do. And that that hospital now has a dog therapy program. And the great news is I didn't have to fund it because I just stimulated the idea, and then they put it in place, and that's part of Liv's legacy. The funding that we did raise over time started a dog therapy program in another hospital, a healthcare provider. So we now have 2 dog therapy programs going, and that was kind of where it was going to. That was kind of it for me. I thought, okay, if I can do that, Liv would be proud, and that would be great. But what I was finding happening was that it was just opening up more doors. And all of a sudden, we had, on the day of Liv's funeral, she was cremated. I have her here, right here. She's here she is right here. This is her. And on the day of her memorial service, in Parliament here, well, an independent politician stood up and recognised Liv.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about it. I literally just gotten home from the service, and her mum called me and said, Liv's just been mentioned in Parliament. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's the context? What were they talking about? And anyway, from that particular speech, the federal government put in an extra $50 million for research into eating disorders because of Liv. Now, from that moment, and you can imagine, like, you've had a funeral for your child, and my thinking was, there's some closure in that. And now it's like, all right, now things can move forward. Well, how wrong was I? That started this media blitz. The media just started reaching out, TV, newspapers, all kinds of stuff. And I just went with it because I figured that Liv was guiding me to make a difference for others.
Of course she was.
So that was my first live TV appearance. Like all the big networks here, they covered the story as well. And then what happened from that was it just opened up more doors, I suppose. And I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but let me just meet with people. And so I got more introductions, and I said, oh, Kellan, can you introduce me to, such and such? And then you avoid the gatekeeper, you provide an instant introduction. And so I was now starting to meet with CEOs of all these organizations that had something to do with either they be in hospitals or eating disorders, etc. And so I met with this organization called Alfred Health, and I said, I didn't know why I was meeting. I thought I would meet.
Right.
And just have conversations and say, look, this was Liv's plight. What's your challenge? And they said, well, we've put up a grant which was knocked back for this in-home eating disorder program. And I said, tell me about it. And it got me emotional because I said, it's this type of program that would have saved Liv's life. And I said, how much did you ask for? And they said, $2.8 million. And I said, I don't know how, but I'm going to get that funded for you. And so from that moment, I was still meeting with CEOs, but I went on a blitz to reach out to state and federal politicians. And long story short, 9 months later, we didn't get 2.8 million, we got 6.5. And that is now funding 2 in-home programs for eating disorders across 2 hospitals, across 2 sides of Melbourne here. From that, there was more media. I've been on 60 Minutes a couple of times. And then because of that, all about promoting awareness of eating disorders, and then social media gets into it because social media did have a negative impact on Liv. And so there's a group here called 36 Months, and they reached out to me, their marketing team, and said, would you like to be involved with this? And I said, yes. And so within about 2 days, I'm up in New South Wales Parliament, and I did another media blitz on live, like all the big TV shows and everything. And again, long story short, we had a big impact there, and we met the Prime Minister in November last year, and that lives a big part of that story, changing social media here from the age of 13 to 16 to make it illegal up till 16. So we're the first country in the world to do it, and Liv is a part of that. So that was passed in November last year. And I was invited up to see the Prime Minister again just recently. So I spent some one-on-one time with him, and they've now put YouTube into that social media ban, if you like, here. So the whole world is watching. YouTube is nervous, Meta is nervous, and the Prime Minister has now invited us across to the UN later this month to attend the General Assembly and meet with the Canadian Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, French Prime Minister, and New Zealand Prime Ministers to get them on board with the same changes that we have in social media to put more pressure on the platforms. And again, this is just part of Liv's legacy. Just yesterday, so I'll say this last one. Just yesterday, Liv's case has been in the coroner's court for 2 years and 4 months now. Because of the way that she passed and that she was under the state's care. She was under community treatment order. So it's by law, it needed to be investigated. And I did a couple of submissions to the coroner, and the final things were handed down yesterday. And he's making a recommendation to the state government here that they fund a further like hospital in the home type program here. We don't know how much that will be funded for, but that's one more thing that is because of Liv's legacy. So this is why I will probably be remembered for that. And it's like, it's only just starting, really. Like we're $56.5 million in, the change to the law of social media. There's a big appetite for following what's happened with Liv's story and making change around the world. And it's kind of bigger than what the other stuff that I'm doing in helping people on a health and wellness scale.
But it is health and wellness. What I was going to say is twice during that marvelous description, you said, long story short, and with all the love in my heart, I want you to tell the long story long. I don't want you to tell the long story short, because the choices that you made, and people, this is perfect, because you, in this process, made some choices along the way to say yes to this and to do that. And people can say, oh, you had this particular thing. But what it emphasizes for me is that every person listening to this show right now, you have moments in your life and time when you can say yes.
Yeah.
And do something that matters. Maybe it won't matter to change the law in Australia, New Zealand, or Yo Mama production. Maybe it won't raise $56 million or 100 or whatever, but it will matter. And it will matter that you say yes. And so the message I want to that I'm hearing and that I want to underline is, Robb's choice to say yes to the opportunities, to say yes to the nudges, to say yes to the thing that says this matters. And so do that and hear this glorious story of what now is looking like some kinds of global change in the protection of a vulnerable group, young teenagers who get their whole life's mission and worth from their peers, even though that's warped, they do. And your ability and willingness to lean into that opportunity and say yes is magic. And I want to just say, great. So that's how you're adding good to the world. How marvelous.
Yeah. It really does feel beautiful. And it you're so right in everything you said, because it really just started with me thinking, what this makes me emotional, but
It's okay.
this
I'm
is
emotional. Feel free.
this is this is probably what started it for me. I'm like, she's 15 years of age and she's no longer here, and she had such incredible talent and such a beautiful girl that the whole world's not going to get to know her. And I felt it was, sorry, my duty as her dad to not allow her life to stand for nothing. And I think there was a couple of things that, like the dog therapy, I thought I need to help those girls that are suffering in the ward right now. There was that. I want to change the whole system, and I want to create like a docu-series about her because I want the world to see who this girl is. And so then with that, I thought, okay, well, I'll start with the GoFundMe, and that, obviously touched many people. And one thing just led to the other, and I just thought, all right, this lives guiding me here as to what it is that I should do. So I did say yes to those things, but I did also make sure that, like, does this sit well with my own personal values and beliefs? And was my eldest daughter and her mum okay with me sharing Liv's story and to have a greater impact and stuff? Because one thing I didn't share is, which I will now, people that should know better, and I'm talking about doctors and professionals and stuff here, blamed me for Liv's illness because I work in health and fitness and wellness, right? So they blamed me for it. So subsequently her death as well. We got access to all the notes that the doctors had written because they were submitted to the coroner. And look, to be honest, it's disgusting how you're judged by medical people that should know better. And so there's that sitting there as well. It's like, you know what? That's them. And I know who I am as a man. I know who I was as a dad and still am for Am, and how I still carry Liv forward with purpose. And Liv knew the role that I played in her life. And so along the way now, I do say no to things because they like people, for instance, early on, a particular magazine here in Australia reached out to me for a story, and they were really pushy, and they wanted to lock everything up, that I wouldn't be able to share the story with anyone else and stuff. I said, look, I've done so many interviews now. Nobody's ever asked me to do this. I'm not about to. And it was kind of a cheesy sort of magazine. I thought it's just not appropriate for that. So I did say no to that. I've said no to a few other things as well. But generally speaking, like I've had this might sound weird, but there's a lot of interest in China in Liv's story. So I've done newspaper and television interviews there. Japan as well. So there's a big appetite for this stuff across Asia. Also done interviews in Sweden and France as well. So that everybody is watching, and I know that there's more work to do. I don't know what it's going to look like by this time next year. Like there's so many things that have happened this year that I just didn't expect. I just know that there will be more things. And now, because I have to protect the legacy, so I am more careful about what I do say yes to. I don't just say yes to anything, because if it doesn't fit, if it's not about making money, it's about making a difference, and the money is coming. And if there's a right cause where I have to then go and seek funding, then I will do that. But I've got to be passionate about it. And my test is, would this have made a difference for Liv? I'd say yes, it would. All right, so let's go. Because if it made a difference for her, it'll make a difference for others.
So there's a guiding star thing. I love this.
Yeah.
There's every person, and it comes from our life experience. I often say to people that they're trying to make money, they've got some kind of a business like you were starting, a health and wellness business. The most powerful, important asset that we have, it's the story of our own becoming. It's not something we learned about over there, or even if it's a great thing. You were a PwC consultant, you did all that. And I was in the 30 years I had in energy up till 2007, I did a lot with what used to be then Coopers and PwC and all the, the whole schmear.
It was
and
Coopers
so you could be,
yeah,
great, all before the PwC merger. But anyway, all of that, yes. And that's a thing over there. The power that you have and your daughter through you, and of course she's guiding you. And of course you've honored her in a way that she would love and that she's making a difference too with you. The power that we have is that story of our becoming, the choices, the resilience, the setbacks, the failures, the deaths. All those things shape us in ways that matter more, because when we speak and teach and live from that place of lived truth, that's power. That's power. Everything else is just a thing. But that's power, and truth carries power, and that's the reason. The honesty, the sincerity, the truth, and the beautiful thing that I want people to hear from this master that has now created this is you here matter. You have a story. Your own becoming matters. So unless you're sitting on the side and you say, I don't care, I'm not going to do anything, all that means is you haven't lived the story long enough yet. Because there will be a day when you realize you have made choices that are good, that lift, that bless, and that yearning that Robb felt to serve will come up in you too. And then no matter what it is, the story of your becoming is the place of your power.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. I think in that one of the parts of my journey has been all the authenticity. I like that word because we live in a world now where there is so much fakeness online. I mean, you just look at the AI videos you're seeing now and you think, oh, is that actually a real person or is this AI? And I remember when I first started business, I'm a great example of this. So this is back in 2009. So social media was really only starting to become a thing for business back then. And so I'm looking at what Kellan's doing. Say, oh, Kellan's looking at, oh, look how many likes he's got. Oh, I should do that. Then, oh, what's happening over here? Oh, Peter's doing this. Oh, I should do some of that as well. And then, oh, Jenny's doing this. I should do some of that as well. What I was trying to do was copy other people. And through that journey, obviously realizing, well, that's not really authentically me. I'm trying to be someone else. And through this whole journey of life and with Liv and everything, I guess part of the irony of losing Liv is I've never felt more authentic, more focused, driven, in tune with what my values and beliefs are, why I'm here, and exactly what it is that I'm here to do for the rest of my life. And I've done so many media interviews now. I literally walked out of the coroner's court yesterday, out of the doors, and the cameras are waiting there for me to do an interview. Now, I had mixed feelings about the coroner's recommendations. He made one recommendation. I was hoping for 6. He made 1. So I'm kind of a little bit torn, but was able to put all that to a side and step straight out into a media interview because it's easy. I just have to be authentically me. I'm not trying to talk about something that's fake. So it's easy. So how do you feel about today? Well, here's the positive. Yeah, I was hoping for more. But you're never going to get caught out because you're just being authentically you. And that has been a big part of my own personal journey to get to where I am now. I'm the sort of person that loves the work. I'm in love with the work because nothing's ever come easy for me. And I know that somebody's not going to knock on the front door and say, oh, by the way, we have everything that you've ever wanted right here in this envelope. You'll never have to do this ever again. You'll never have to work hard. There you go. Well done. That's never happened for me. It's not likely to happen for you. And the only way it happened for me is hard work. I am probably an average to below average, maybe intelligence, but my work ethic, which I have built, I wasn't born with it. And my focus, my drive is something that I focus on every single day. And what I do love about your background here, I love this metaphor of the mountain. It's like, I don't believe at 57, I don't believe I've reached my peak yet, my full potential. So it's like you're always climbing the mountain. Now, I don't know what's at the top of the mountain, but what I do know is that I will have a view at the top of the mountain. Now I might be able to say, oh, wow, there's more mountains up there. Great. Let's keep climbing. Because, yeah, I might have to go down a valley to then start climbing again, but I'm always looking for what's that next level of personal growth for me? How do I keep bringing out that best version of me? Because this is where I like the movie Limitless without the drugs. But it's like we don't have limits, only the ones that we set on ourselves. And you can just keep going further and further and further. And I think what's exciting for me is I don't know where the rest of my life is going. I don't know how big Liv's legacy is going to go. I know that these are things that are going to outlast me, but I'm excited about the unknown. And I think that's beautiful.
You know what's fun about that? It doesn't even matter what the view is, because the reward is who we became in the climb.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the thing. I don't care what's at the top, mountain without a top, next mountain, whatever it is. The choice to climb is the choice of liberation, the choice of growth, the choice of saying, I will serve, I will do that. Even if, and that's why I always ask, well, you know, you fixed a problem for yourself. Why don't you just sit on your butt and do nothing? And the answer is, I can't, because we are born, we were wired. Neurotransmitters, and I'm quite sure there's a spiritual analog to the physical neurotransmitters. We just don't know their names, but we are wired literally to be in love and service. And so the point is, who did you become, or are you becoming, as you do the work, as you make the climb, as you decide every day to go do the thing, kick butt and take names and make good stuff happen in the world?
Yeah, I decided that mediocrity sucks. And I probably 16 years ago, before I started business, I mean, I think we sit for a period of time on the other side of decisions, the what if, or what if I do that? Oh, well, that will mean this, this, and this, but it will mean this. Oh, no, so I'll stay back here. And I made the decision that in 2007, actually, so around the same time, maybe you made your decision, where I said, I don't want to be at my grave side wondering, what if I had have done this? Because if I hadn't have made the leap that I had into business, they're like some of the most amazing people in the world I've met. Like, I've spent time with Barack Obama. I obviously spent time, a couple of meetings now with our own prime minister, like so many different celebrities and so forth that I've been able to interview, and I love high performance mindset and all that kind of stuff. I would never have been able to do any of those if I didn't do this. And with the passing of Liv, like Liv's mum, she doesn't even know how I do all this stuff. And I probably wouldn't do it if I hadn't have been prepared for everything before. And it's all the work, it's all the coaching, it's stepping up, it's recording podcasts. I just wouldn't be equipped to be able to do it. And so I think it's the small decisions that we make and the work that you do every day is absolutely creating that better version of yourself for whatever the universe has planned for you next.
So I want every single person to take that little motto and put it on your forehead. I call it addiction to mediocrity, but I want you to write down and on your forehead and on your computer, mediocrity sucks, because it's true. Mediocrity, procrastination, settling, it's the slow death of dreams. And for crying out loud, you don't want to die with your music inside. You only live once sometimes as a justification for reckless living. But the truth is, you only live once. So go get yourself figured out. Like, who do you want to be in the world? How do you want to show up? I love it. So tell me, if I ask you something I didn't ask you, something that you want to leave, some love, some invitation, tell me what that is now.
Well, I think like I hinted at the start, the way that I start working with people to help them change their lives is making sure that we've got a really strong foundation. And for many decades, I didn't have a great self-image or self-confidence in myself. But what I was gifted with, I guess, whether it's DNA or what, was I was always hungry for what's next? What's next? Surely this isn't it for me. And so I was always hungry for learning and going to that next level. I think if you think about success and growth, it will not accidentally happen. You don't like stay at mediocrity here and accidentally say, "Oh, look at that, man! I can't believe I accidentally ended up there."
No, nobody falls up a mountain, right?
And then yeah, that's right. And then you just go down, and then that's your life. So, oh well, yeah, it's life. I was busy, etc. So when I start working with people, I say, well, it's like your house. We have slab. I don't know what it's like in Canada there, but we build on slabs, like concrete slabs with Rio and stuff. If that foundation is really crappy, then the house falls down eventually. And I think this is true for your life. So this is why I say to everybody, make your health, your wellness, your fitness your number one priority in life. Because if that's zero, you're dead. So what if it was reverse of that and it was maximum? Well, for me, if that foundation is strong, you have endless energy. And so, okay, we've got energy. Great. What am I going to do? Well, let's create some focus. Okay, what are you going to focus on? Now, you can be focused on one thing one time. So let's like going to the gym, for instance. Yeah, well, I went to the gym today. I only need to do that once in my life. All right, I'm gone. Well, we know that that's not true. And this is the same for the gym of life. So, okay, so we've got some focus. What are we going to focus on that's going to move you forward? And then what I like is the work ethic, because we want to do it over and over and over again. And then I like the personal growth side of it. Now, you're not going to do any of those things if you've got zero energy. So if your foundation of health and wellness is really strong, we can do those things and we can build on that. And then we just can keep climbing up that mountain. So I think if you are listening right now and you're like, but I don't know what that is for you. Yeah, I'm inspired by you, but by the time I stop recording this, that inspiration is gone. So how do I do it for me? Stay hungry and keep focusing on building your health and wellness so you can have that energy, and just keep digging, keep listening to Kellan's podcast and find what it is that really excites you. What really lights your fire? Most people said to me, I love this advice when I left my last like executive type position. People said to me, "Oh, you can always come back when it doesn't work." Thanks for your support. So I'm like, really? And so that just creates more fire for me, right? You can have these setbacks, like there's been so many. Obviously, the biggest one in my life has been the loss of Liv, but you can turn that into energy to do something greater for the world. You don't have to do what I've done, but if you can be inspired by what's possible. I'm just a normal sort of guy, born in the country here in Victoria, a very small town, but I just made decisions to bring out my greatness because I was always different. I was bullied. I'm smaller than most people, but I knew that there's something in me. I'm built this way because I'm meant to have a greater impact. And I've built that only by those small decisions, but you stack them on top of each other. And man, you can start to have a global impact.
So I want to leave everybody with how to follow you. So you've told the story, and maybe they can just look up Liv and find it. But where's the best place to find more to support changes if they want to support the social media stuff or whatever? Where should people go to find out?
Well, you can see my name here. It's that on LinkedIn. It's that on all the social platforms. You can see that's my podcast there. I've got two, but that's the main one. If you'd like to see and keep up to date with what's going on with Liv, it's Liv's Legacy, LIVS, legacy.com. And if you want to participate in that, there is a fundraising page, which I don't have anything to do with the fundraising. I would rather do bigger things, but the fundraising page there is linked to the dog therapy fundraising for Alfred Health, so that they can keep running that program if anyone wants to contribute there. Or just go to that page and you can watch some of the videos that we've done in the media, a little video about Live, which is quite cute, and just keep up to date with what, the work that we're doing. There's stuff happening even as we speak.
Robb, thank you. Your energy is contagious. Your legacy is real. And, I want to repeat again to those that listen that think, yeah, but he had this and he had that and I can't make a difference. Yes, you can. Robb, thank you for being here with us and for sharing your heart, your emotion, and your dedication to the show.
Thank you. It's been an honor being here.
I want all of you to listen to this again. This is a story of truth. This is a story of choice. This is a story of saying yes. Those are the key ingredients to move forward and create your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFlukigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe, share.
Stand with your heart.